Welcome back. I'm David Knight, and we're going to be talking to Larry Klayman. Larry is somebody who has fearlessly approached the attacks on our liberties, the attacks on due process. He was there at the Bundy trials, and now he is there launching a lawsuit in U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia, launching a lawsuit against 5 of the world's largest tech companies. Larry Klayman doesn't have a problem taking on the big guys, whether it's the Department of Justice doing the wrong thing at the Bundy trials, or whether it's these wannabe lords of the internet shutting down your free speech, shutting down freedom of the press, colluding with Democrats and with media organizations to try to rig the election. I mean, there's so much involved here, and kudos to Larry Klayman for going against that. I want to talk to him about this lawsuit here. And, of course, you can find Larry Klayman on Twitter at Larry E. Klayman. That's Klayman with a K. You can also find him at freedomwatchusa.org. He's the founder of Freedom Watch. Joining us now is Larry Klayman. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, David. Thank you for inviting me.
And thank you for filing a lawsuit. I'm glad to see that somebody is taking action. Of course, we've had President Trump say last Thursday that this is a very antitrust situation. I would agree with him. There's a lot of collusion going on here. Tell us a little bit about the lawsuit and what you're trying to do and the angle that you're coming at this, because there's just so many different facets to it. Curious as to which ones you're focusing on, or are you taking all of them on?
We're taking them all on, but here's what the issue is, and President Trump had it right. Perhaps he saw our lawsuit when we announced its filing. As you know, David, I'm a former antitrust lawyer when I was younger of the U.S. Department of Justice. I helped break up AT&T, that monopoly, during the Reagan administration. And the theory of this case, and it's an actual fact, is that these various social media companies, whether it's Google, YouTube, Twitter, Apple, Facebook, Instagram, are all colluding. There's an agreement in restraint of trade, either explicitly or what we call conscious parallelism. They're all acting together based upon their leftist beliefs. The CEOs of these companies are very far left. And as a result, you see what happened to InfoWars, excluded from YouTube. That's a violation of the First Amendment, but it's also an antitrust violation. As far as Freedom Watch is concerned, we have had problems with YouTube as well, is that our viewers, our subscribers go up to around 50,000, then they drop 500, they go up again, they drop. Is that YouTube has put a limitation on our growth to be able to communicate with the American people. And that's important because, you know, it was the printing press during the revolution that mobilized the colonies. We're trying to get our conservative beliefs across to the country, and we're trying to fight this vicious leftist onslaught, and we need that capability. Now, these leftist media heads obviously are going to expect favors when they get their leftist politicians put in office, whether it's on the national level or in the state, and they're rich enough, and they don't need that kind of antitrust collusion to succeed. So consequently, this case is very important for the American people. We deserve to hear everybody's views, Alex's views, your views, my views, everybody's views, because we believe in the vision of our founding fathers.
You know, Larry, as you're pointing out, these CEOs, but it's not just the CEOs, it's corporate-wide. Breitbart had an article last week, 61% of big tech employees agreed with the blacklisting of Alex Jones. The highest percentage was at Apple, where they had 72% of the employees said, we don't want Alex Jones to have a presence anywhere. And that's the approach of the left. As I've said many times, we had my wife showed up at an abortion protest at the Planned Parenthood clinic here in Austin. They had signs talking about black genocide, and these Black Lives Matter people that showed up, actually they weren't, none of them were Black Lives Matter. They were Marxists. They said they were Black Lives, but they were Antifa and so forth. They showed up with just black signs to cover up these other signs. They didn't have anything to say. They just wanted to shut down our speech. They didn't have counter speech to put out there, and that's what we're seeing here with these big tech companies. The same thing you're talking about we saw with this program. At the very beginning, as it was starting to take off, our views were going up, and then all of a sudden they dropped drastically and stayed down. And then about 4 months before they completely deplatformed this program, I got this curious email from them just out of the blue. We weren't monetizing anything. They said, hey, we've just shut down your We said this ad is not valid. And at that point, I saw engagement and new people subscribing to the channel drop by 90%. So we know that they're manipulating this inside these big tech companies that don't like conservative speech.
Absolutely. And that's why we need to have conservatives join us and others, patriots. It's a class action. So when this case is certified, and I might add it's been assigned randomly to a Trump-appointed judge, which is very good. Thank God not a Democrat or one of these leftists. And I hope that we get a fair hearing. That's what we're asking for. But we need everybody to join this because it's not just Alex. It's not just InfoWars. It's not just Larry claiming Freedom Watch. But it's everybody in the conservative movement, libertarian movement, people of faith, people that are anti-illegal immigrant, anti-radical feminist, anti-radical Islam, anti-atheist. It's a whole situation that is trying to squeeze us out of the public discourse to communicate. And contrary to what a lot of commentators have said, it's incorrect, is that because they're private companies, they can't do what they want because they have been colluding. They've been agreeing to restrain trade. That's a violation of Sherman 1 of the antitrust laws. And consequently,
there's another hypocrisy that's at the core of this as well. When we talk about, oh, they're just private companies. I think it's interesting that President Trump's personal account, real Donald Trump, that he had before he became president, there is an official presidential Twitter account, but you had a judge say, you can't block people on that account because it's a public forum. But at the same time, we got Jack Dorsey, who's the CEO of Twitter. He can decide to completely block everybody off of Twitter. How is that possible? How can he block people off? And it's not a public forum when it's Jack Dorsey banning somebody off of Twitter. But if President Trump takes you off of just his account, then that's a violation of the public forum. I mean, how can that be?
It can't be. And in fact, in this respect, the European Union, and I worked for the competition directorate as a young man of the Commission of the European Communities. Now it's the European Union. You know, sometimes they go after American companies. It's easier than going after European companies politically, but they're right on one fundamental premise. And Google has been fined, along with others, over $1 billion for abuse of their dominant position. European antitrust law, which is fashioned after our own, you know, it came in during the days of Teddy Roosevelt, is actually more advanced than our own. But we can reach this under Section 1 of the Sherman Act, and we can also reach it under a law in the District of Columbia, which prevents political discrimination in the public forum. That's one of the reasons I filed it in the District of Columbia federal court. We're going to get to this, and we need support. So I hope people will go to our website at freedomwatchusa.org. We're like David against Goliath. These people are huge. These companies are huge. They control this country, the mindset of this country, coupled with the violence of Antifa and Black Lives Matter and other vigilante groups on the left. And we can see what's happening today during the Kavanaugh hearings. You've got these, and I'll use the president's phrase, animals in the gallery that are trying to disrupt everything. We have a fight to win, and we need to be able to communicate with our troops. And that's,
yeah, I think it's very important that people understand, you know, when we look at the First Amendment, there's a lot of different aspects of the First Amendment. There's freedom of religion. That is also under attack here. It's not just freedom of the press. It's not just them shutting down InfoWars or trying now to organize a blacklist and shutting down Breitbart by one means or the other. It is also shutting down the people's freedom of speech. And as I've said before, they want to control not only what the people see, but also what the people hear, and also their ability to speak. That is, to share what they see that they agree with or that they disagree with. I mean, they're coming. That is the free speech aspect of this that is separate and apart from their anti-competitive issues in terms of coming after other competitors that happen to be beating them in the marketplace of ideas. And so when we come back, we're going to talk to Larry Klayman as to what this might look like. Well, ideally, as somebody who's had experience with antitrust regulations, would like to know what he sees in terms of what does it look like to get back freedom of speech and to have a free internet. What would that look like? How would that look if we apply these antitrust regulations to them? Stay with us.
One of the most incredible cups of coffee can be found in the high mountains of southern Mexico, where the Chiapas farmers have spent years perfecting their techniques. Based off hundreds of years of traditional techniques and perfect conditions, We've sourced only the best to provide you with our immune support and Wake Up America Patriot Blend coffee. Ancient Mayan knowledge is paired with the natural fertility of the land to generate the world's finest coffee bean. Carefully harvested and free of toxic chemicals used in big agricultural productions, Patriot Blend coffees have a smooth, bold flavor with great depth to give you just what you need in the morning. You can even choose to start your morning healthier with the Immune Support Blend, infused with a powerful blend to support your immune response and stamina. It's time to take care of your morning routine. Get a bag of Patriot Blend coffee to support the show while enhancing your morning routine at InfoWarsStore.com.
Listeners in the United States and around the world, you've seen InfoWars deliver the goods. You've seen us get Trump into office thanks to your help. You've seen us expose the web censorship and make it the top priority now of the president to defend the First Amendment, win these midterms, and stop big tech's reign of terror. You have seen the fact that we've got the zeitgeist because we've got you. You are the power. You are the fulcrum. You are the engine, the blood, sweat, gut, tears, brain, fist of this entire operation. And it's the love you've got for this country and for humanity and this world that is the light in the night. And so that's what I'm getting at here is financially supporting InfoWars is so critical. We make it easy. We've got products. We've got supplements that, just like our information, is totally game-changing. That is so amazing. We've got the strongest known turmeric formula that we can find any top company to put out. It's amazing. Bodies, even though it's about to sell out in the next week or so, we have it 50% off. Get it. Experience what it does for your health, your stamina, your anti-inflammation. It really helps me with allergies and just so many other things. InfoWarsLife.com is where you can go visit. When you make the decision to go to InfoWarsLife.com and get the water filtration, the air filtration, the 40% off on our great natural sleep aid, Knockout. When you do that, it changes the world. You get great products, and you support our broadcast. So I want to thank you all, again, that have supported us. And I want to encourage all of you that have been on the fence. You know we're telling the truth. You know we're changing the world. This isn't hype. We need you to get off the bench and come into this historical win and get books and get T-shirts and get videos that help inform yourself and others better, that help spread the word, that help you meet like-minded people. Bottom line, there is a war going on for humanity. That is the final equation. There is a war for the future of our destiny, and right now is the time for everybody to get off the bench and get in the game. So I want to thank those that have been off the bench in the game. I want to ask those that have been in the game some, but not as much as they could, to get more in the game. And I want to ask those that have not been in the game to, whatever you do, spread the articles at Infowars.com, the videos, download them, re-upload them, share them. They're trying to stop us because we're having an effect thanks to you. So again, I want to salute you all and thank you all and ask you to think about InfoWars every day, because without you, we're nothing. Thank you.
Hey, how would you like to take InfoWars with you wherever you go? Well, now you can do just that with the new official InfoWars app. And here's the best part. It is absolutely free. At the Apple Store and Google Play, you can join the InfoWar today. Check it out right now at Infowars.com/app.
It's the InfoWars official app, taking on the globalist at point-blank range. And with your help spreading it, and with your help downloading it, we are unstoppable. You're listening to Real News with David Knight.
Welcome back. I'm David Knight, and we're talking to Larry Klayman. He's begun a class action lawsuit coming after the 5 largest tech companies, 5 of the largest companies the world has ever known. Larry Klayman is not afraid of tackling them. And we all know, as we look at this situation, that there's something inherently wrong with this. You know, many people will say, and this is what conflicts conservatives, Larry. Conservatives don't like regulation, and conservatives like private property. Now, liberals, on the other hand, they'll shut down a small baker if he doesn't kowtow to whatever it is that they want to do. And clearly, these people could go to another baker, or they could go to another photographer. There isn't another Google or another Facebook that's out there. They have a different status here. They really do have something of a public monopoly here. And so I guess the question is, what do we do with this? Because a lot of conservatives are reluctant, and libertarians are reluctant to pull that trigger and say, we got to regulate this, or we got to do something about this, or we got to step on their toes because they're private companies. But censorship by a private company is still censorship. And if they merge with the government, it is fascism.
You're right. But before we get to regulation, David, we need to deal with this antitrust case. And that's why we need everybody's support at freedomwatchusa.org. Join us, contribute to our cause, tax deductible. It's not an advertisement. We're going up against Goliaths here. And the courts can break this up. They did it with AT&T. Judge Green at the time, may his soul rest in peace, regulated what was going on. Our government is broken down completely. To depend upon them for regulation, you might as well go visit Pluto or Mars. We need to have somebody take strong action. Now,
and so what would this look like when you say breaking them up? I mean, would you break, what would this look like with Google, for example, in terms of breaking them up? How would that make them, since the majority of them hate conservatives of every stripe and they want to purge us off of the search engines? I just showed on Friday how you could type in the word idiot on Google, the search engine that is not a search engine. And if you look at the pictures, all you get are pictures of President Trump. If you go to DuckDuckGo and you type in the word idiot, you see all these other various pictures. There's only one picture of President Trump. So there is something that is being rigged on these search results. So how does breaking them up and making them smaller change that?
When I talk about breaking them up, what I'm talking about is an injunction not to get them to do these things into the future and socking them so hard financially, and that'll be a lot, that they feel the pain and don't do it again. In addition, Google should be broken up into smaller parts to have some competition here. I mean, it's so huge. Apple, the same thing. Facebook, look at Zuckerberg, an ultra-leftist, a friend of George Soros, Obama, everyone. You know, without Alex Jones, the president would not be the president. I mean, he played a fundamental role in having him elected. I hope this president will listen more carefully to what we're doing here at Freedom Watch. We've been a great supporter of his. You have too. But regulation is not the answer. What is the answer is hard-hitting lawsuits. And I would like to see his Justice Department, after he fires Sessions, and get somebody in there that actually adheres to the law, join our lawsuit along with us. Why is it that the Antitrust Division of my alma mater, of which I was once proud, which broke up AT&T, sits there playing patty cakes, twiddling its thumbs as this is happening to destroy the ability to communicate, the ability to mobilize the masses in favor of the president? It's
well,
unbelievable.
If Jeff Sessions wasn't doing the wrong thing, he'd be doing nothing at all. He has done the wrong thing, like in the Bundy situation.
He's actually trying to get the president impeached. He is. And the fact that he allowed lawsuits to go forward against Republican congressmen, he didn't need to do it now. I mean, if they violated the law, do it at an appropriate time. He's trying to limit the numbers in the House of Representatives to get the president impeached. He thinks the Democrats will keep him in power. I mean, that's how deluded this guy is.
Let me ask you, when you're talking about antitrust regulation, again, as you pointed out, you're part of the legal team that broke up the Bell, the phone company monopolies and so forth. Now we're talking about maybe something like a public utility, because these internet companies had said, oh, we got to have net neutrality, so we got to regulate these internet service providers as public utilities or something like that. And yet they're the ones who want to basically not have net neutrality, who want to regulate content. I've never ever heard of a situation where an internet service provider cut off somebody's service because of their political beliefs, or even throttled their internet service because of their political beliefs, which is what these Silicon Valley companies like Google, Facebook, and Apple are doing.
You're right, and that's the theory of being able to reach them. It's an old case, otter tail power, that gave rise to the AT&T case. When you're in public capacity, in effect, serving the public, you lose any antitrust exemption or antitrust immunity. And that's why these people and these companies will be held accountable. I'm convinced that the CEOs of these companies actually communicate with each other. They know what they're doing. This is the San Francisco, Silicon Valley crowd, highly partisan. The courts there are corrupted. You can't believe what goes on. Actually, you can, because we've seen that the Supreme Court's reversed everything coming out of there of late with regard to President Trump and his executive orders. And this is what we're up against. You know, it was the printing press, David, that mobilized the colonies to go against the crown. to sign a Declaration of Independence, to wage a successful revolution. And this is as if King George, and he tried to take away the printing press from our founding fathers. Well, we're not going to let that happen. Peacefully and legally, we're going to do everything we can to oppose this leftist onslaught. And it's vicious. It is evil. They want to destroy this country and the vision of our founding fathers. They want to bring back their leftist, far-left, socialist ideology. I could go on. And it is a war between left and right. It's a war that we must win. As Winston Churchill said during World War II, total victory or else. I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah, you know, when we look at this, it's not like the kinds of things that we saw AT&T do, which was simply trying to set up an economic hegemony. These people are trying to set up a political hegemony. They're trying to manipulate the election. As I said before, you can think of numerous examples of any kind of public utility, whether it is, you know, the electric company cutting off your power because they're reading your emails and they don't like what you're sending out with emails or what you're doing on social media. Same thing with your ISP. They say, you know, we're going to shut you off because we don't like the activity that you're doing. Or even take toll roads, for example. They have a private company that's running a toll road, and they say, well, I don't like the bumper sticker on your car. It's a Ron Paul bumper sticker. Or maybe go the other way. Maybe it's a Bernie Sanders sticker. You're not going to be allowed on my toll roads. And they've been given most of the toll roads, let's say, in a particular area. I can think of numerous examples like this. That is really what's happening here with Google, Facebook, Apple, and yet it is not about money. It's simply about political power that they're trying to manipulate here. That's why it makes it even more important that we got to do something about this.
It's part of a giant conspiracy. Conspiracies happen, you know.
Yeah.
Two people or entities acting in concert, taking an overt act. It's coupled with what's going on in the deep state, the intelligence agencies, this mass surveillance on the American people, which continues today. That's one of the reasons I'm not a fan of Judge Kavanaugh, because he actually thinks that's fine. And I don't think the Fourth Amendment is unimportant. It is important.
Oh, yeah.
And lastly, you've got these groups out there like Antifa, Black Lives Matter, others that are resorting to violence. They're in the streets. Frankly, they're out to kill us. You know, I can't think of one time during the Obama administration that anybody on the right tried to harm President Obama. Right. Even the militias, they did not. So you're dealing here with, as the president said, animals. Okay, they're animals. That's what they are. And they need to be taken out legally, peacefully, and properly. So that's why we need to rise up. I know I'm promoting Freedom Watch here, but we need your help financially. If they can go to freedomwatchusa.org, this is the mouse that roared. We need to hire more people. We need to take this on because no one else will do it. No one else will do it.
And it's very important. You were talking earlier about the importance of the free press during the American Revolution in terms of getting our freedoms initially. But it was also the committees of correspondence, the people who were the individual citizens who were going around and passing information to each other. I look at that as a direct correlation to what they had on social media. That was a big part of what got President Trump elected president. The ability of people to pass along articles and comment on them politically. I agree with this or I disagree with that. That is the free speech of the people. And that is a separate thing from the freedom of the press. Both of those are very, very important. But people need to support this lawsuit because it is their freedom that is being shut down, not just their ability to see what we have to say or to hear what we have to say, but for their ability to pass it along and to add their comments, which they've been able to do in a way with social media in this last election that they haven't really been able to do since the American Revolution with the committees of correspondence.
That's right. And we need to move ahead right now, you know, as if we were waging a second American Revolution. And we need to enlist our patriots, the people that support us, to join with us. So I thank you.
Well, it absolutely is a second American Revolution. It's going to go one way or the other. And it is a very important time. And you can see how desperate they are to shut this down. We've been talking to Larry Klayman. You can find him on Twitter, Larry E. Klayman. That's Klayman with a K. Also, go to freedomwatchusa.org. You can find out about that class action lawsuit and how you can help to support your freedom of speech. That's it for today's broadcast. Thank you for joining us. I'm David Knight.